welcome to the Roundtable show on Republic TV. My name is Sam Frempong, and I'll be doing this morning's discussion with Gabi Ochre, a member of the New Patriotic Party and also a strong member of Tescote. Here's Gabi Ochre with no Dako. Gabi, you're welcome. You're welcome. So we'll straight away zoom into the newspapers, all the topical issues that made it to the front pages of the newspapers this morning. I have the Republic Press with me, and on their front page they have GMA strike, GMA warns of strike as Health Minister cuts man behind Ridge Hospital attack. And also on the same front page we have NPP Shores bet for 2028 Prime Champion Bulls delegates. 2 TikTokers remanded over offensive comments against President Mahama. And from the Daily Gist newspaper, the Daily Gist, we have on the front page Mahama stranded in Dubai for 22 hours over NDC presidential jet propaganda. Gabi, what other paper do you have with you?
I have with me the Daily Graphic. Daily Graphic is interested in discussing its management of public funds, vows value for every city, and chases scholarship beneficiaries for refund. I also have Daily Guide. Daily Guide is another guide, I think, about the new crusading guide. I preview my listeners.
Exactly, they're all guidance. So
the Mariposa saga, contractor moves facilities to sites, but residents remain cautiously optimistic on the Sawam-Pokwasi road. The Daily Statesman, here there's a warning by our ex-president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He says, no copy and paste reforms for Africa. Akufo-Addo calls for a tailored reform. Also, the Minority cautions Bank of Ghana on its 60 million cedis sterilization policy.
Let me do the Daily Guide quickly. Galamsey Task Force arrest 4 soldiers for illegal raids. Selina Educhung Foundation supports delegates. Nana Akufo-Addo urges institutions for Africa's development. And court orders Adamus Australia to pay Adamus Ghana $50,000 cost. And court stops Regimano Grey Estate takeover.
I have the Ghanaian publisher say they are misrepeating what Akufo-Addo said with regards to strengthening institutions or risk collapse here in Africa. Minority slums lawless Ridge Hospital intrusion, which was done by Ralph, an ardent, rude person, as we know.
Okay, so quickly, I would like us to look at, over the weekend, there were videos circulating, and it has been reported by the Republic Press newspaper of the social media activist, Ralph, who stormed the Ridge Hospital with his friends, and then he was demanding an emergency care, and he thought he was denied the so-called care he demanded. So he instigated his people to attack nurses of the facility. And for me, I have been thinking that this was just lawlessness and should be condemned in the strongest terms. For you to instigate your friends to attack health workers who have already been stretched thin, following long hours of working and all the frustrations that we know come with their work. So for you to go there and demand whatever service you thought was due you, and then subsequently order your people to attack the nurses, I think it was reckless and, needed to be condemned.
Well, so with me, I wouldn't want you to say you think. I would want you to accept that it is reckless. Reckless in the sense that the nurses are employed by the state, they work for the state, and they work to take care of our families. They are not limited to particular people. They do not pick and choose who they care for. These people are in charge of our lives. And so they're risking their lives to take care of us. is something that we have not commended them enough. We haven't rewarded them enough. We come from a country where we can't pay our nurses enough, and we are losing majority of them into various countries that I'm even shy to mention, but they do go there because they are yet paid enough in those countries. Now, with the gentleman involved, prior to 2020 election and 2024 election, we had the current president, who was then flag bearer, saying that they are from a revolutionary root, and then when it comes to violence and chaoses, they are number one, and so no one can compare to them.
Are you linking the gentleman involved to the NDC?
Of course I am.
I don't think he has ever mentioned anywhere that
He has been in defense of the NDC severally. He has taken part in demonstrations organized by pro-NDC groups. He has done things that suggest that he aligns with the principles and thoughts of the NDC, including things he has done in the past, violence he has taken part in with regards to the damaging of properties at the cathedral building sites, which he led mob to go and do. So what is happening now is an enabling environment which he needed, because prior he took advantage of the political environment, that was the wind that was blowing, to do several things that he wasn't even arrested for. So now he has an enabling environment where he has a government that backs him. Now, for anyone who would want to challenge this statement, then my question to you would be that after the event at the hospital, where nurses were violated, people's rights were taken from them just because a central gentleman wanted his own method. He had his own way he wanted to be attended to in the hospital. Wasn't he there to? The minister in charge of the sector, there was news by his social media handlers, the NDC caucus, saying he has stormed Rage Hospital, he has stormed. So in my assumption, we assumed that he had gone there with the police, arrested the gentleman involved, only for us to see videos of him in the hospital exchanging pleasantries with the gentleman.
He said he couldn't have snubbed the gentleman because this whole thing was being recorded, and with the cameras following him, he couldn't have just ignored the gentleman when he approached him.
So in a nutshell, the minister in charge of the sector is telling us that he showed courtesy to a riffraff, a criminal, in that is, for that action, it's a crime. He showed courtesy to the criminal by exchanging pleasantries with him, shaking hands with him in front of our cameras. What would my grandmother, what would my sister, who wants to become a nurse?
He had already instituted investigations into what happened at the hospital. And I don't think that the minister could have just come to any conclusions whilst investigations were underway.
You see, these parts of the conversation, consistently it's been said over and over that if you're not part of the elite people, you end up in jail. I think that Raf has found his way into the camp of the elite people. That is why we are having this conversation today, because the minister would not need to initiate a conversation or an investigation before Raf is arrested. If I went to cause any form of harm to nurses, doctors, cleaners, staff at Rage Hospital, before my wife, before my parents, before close associates would get whims of it, I'll be languishing in a cell somewhere. It did not need the minister to initiate that. But I am so sure that nurses, senior staff at the hospital, were reluctant in actually even asking the police to pick the gentleman up because they knew the political powers that are behind Raf. And this is exactly what we are doing. We are enabling young men to actually take the helms of affairs in the future without the knowledge that they need to have. Now, people like Raf have become the people's voice in certain quarters in this country. And we are allowing Raf to grow, create his own team. First, it was always Raf alone. Now, this time, it was Raf and his friends. Next time, it will be Raf and the party. It will be Raf and the whole... It will be crazy. We need the minister openly apologizing for that incident where he shook hands with the gentleman. He needs to apologize for it and not defend it with courtesy. No, it is pure disrespect. It is pure disrespect to the nurses, to the doctors, to every single person who is appointed to work at Rage Hospital. And not just Rage Hospital. every other hospital in this country. Because then it will not end there. We'll hear about it in Confanoche. Then there will be a certain gentleman who is known among the NDC quarters who will just enter Confanoche and say, "Mimi accident, mama me pijan intem." Go about beating the nurses. It will not end there. We'll hear about it in Pada. We'll hear about it in Daman. We'll hear about it in Wenchi. We'll hear about it in Enchi. It will go on and go on and go on, and then it will become a regular thing. Galamsey started with one person. Today it's regular.
So is it not the same thing that the police is trying to curb? Some TikTokers were arrested, and the NPP, your political party, has been all over saying that why should these people be arrested? Because this social media activism, where people are even insulting and calling and threatening to harm the president, when these people are held, and then we have people coming from your political party to condemn some of these things. When you talk of Ralph being emboldened, we saw leading figures of your party embracing some of these young men who had fallen foul of the law. So Ralph is there, as you are saying, being protected by the NDC. Is it not the same thing that we have with the NPP also protecting its own when it comes to all these social media, so-called social media activism?
Well, I like this question, and I was hoping that maybe the newspapers today would have carried that story, so we would speak about it. I'm elated to speak about this because it's really important. I would like to say that the NPP as a party have for time and time over done its best to reduce the act of violence with regards to party hooliganism, have done its best to reduce all of these kind of talks. I mean, so to say, excuse my language, dirty talks that are done by party supporters just because it is against the opposition party or a party they are against. The Elephant, through its party leadership, sent out a strong statement condemning the words that were used on the platform of the Gentleman Fanti Comedy. And they also condemned the mode of arrest of some of the communicators, and they also condemned the way at which the law was being used against them. Now, I'll break it down. First, the party said in their letter that they do not support or agree with the words or statements that were made on the Gentleman's show. That is one. Number two, they do not agree on the mode of arrest. And the last is how they were treated by the courts and the kind of bill that they requested. Now, Fanti Comedy had a show. He had people come on the show and then they spoke. Now, assuming, without admitting that I am just like Ralph and I leave here with terrible statements, and you ask me to withdraw, and I do not, but you apologize on my behalf, why does it make it so easy for you rather to be arrested and not me? I have been asking, and many other people have been asking, for a video that suggests that Fanti Comedy, as the gentleman as he is, made any statement or written anywhere saying that or threatening the life of the president, John Dramani Mahama, or making any derogatory comment which suggests that he has intel with regards to the helicopter crash. Nothing of the sort. So you see, the system is being used to weaken a certain base so they cannot say their mind as they should.
But in fact, there are three personalities involved. The two of them are being held in police custody.
And for the two,
for threatening the president.
For threatening the president, yes. And for the two, we were in this country when a certain gentleman...
Are we going back? Are we going back?
We are not trying to go back, but we are saying that there are certain things that we should understand that the law was made for humans. Humans were not made for the law. And so when the law, anytime the law has to take effect, some form of investigation have to go on. Now, we do believe that the two women do not have the capacity to cause any harm to the president.
How do you know?
Okay, so that's why I give you an example, that a gentleman crossed the red light and then he hits the president of Ghana's car. That's John Ajikun Kufuor. He was let go scot-free because we realized that he didn't have a capacity to hurt anybody. It was a wrong thing that happened.
Anyway,
Caution could be given to
anyway, talking of the president, I understand, as the Daily Justice saying that President Mahama was stranded in Dubai for 22 hours. Story by Daniel Bampo says, President John Dramani Mahama's recent trip to Japan has sparked controversy after it has emerged that the president spent over 22 hours stranded in Dubai before connecting to Tokyo on a commercial Emirates flight. The incident has revived national debate about the presidential jet, with critics pointing fingers to the National Democratic Congress MP for North Tongue and Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudeto, for what they describe as hypocrisy and political double standard. Here we go again. Our president stranded in Dubai for 22 hours. I have always wondered why we would want to play politics with everything in this country. Isn't it just imperative for us to, as a nation, come together to say that it is time for us to have a national conversation and a national policy on presidential trips and not be playing politics with everything? We are talking about the security of the president. We are talking about the safety of the president. The president, if he was indeed, or he had to wait for 22 hours before he connected to his final destination, which was Tokyo. Is this how we want to run our country?
Well, we are where we are because of what we have allowed. We have allowed politics to get us where we are. The interest in having power without a plan is why we are where we are. We have allowed people to hoodwink us, to give them power because of slogans. And so we are where we are because these people have no idea how managing the office of the president was going to be like when they are given the mandate. We have done so much politics. It became a case where people made political choices in December 2024 based on the fact that the president uses a private jet on his travels.
Luxurious jets.
Serious jets.
Yes.
Now,
the president wanted to shower mid-air.
We have a president who sometimes would have to travel 2 countries, 3 countries. And we know global times are not the same. So I'll give you an example. When my president leaves Ghana for London, he might arrive in 8 hours' time. The difference in time would be either minus 1 hour or plus 1 hour. Now, at that conference, if the conference starts at, say, 2 p.m. and his flight from Ghana leaves around 4 a.m., 6 a.m., he arrives, he can go straight to it. He says, listen, I need a jet where when I arrive, I change and prepare straight into the meeting for my jet. So we have a Ghana presidential jet that can do that. But unfortunately, our jets cannot go for that distance. So if you are renting a jet, they will rent a jet that can offer the same.
I hear the jet is also stranded in France or somewhere.
Well, we'll come to that. So now, he rents a jet that can do the same. Then someone picks it up, he uses it against him and makes all sorts of stories. People are infuriated daily. And let's be sincere, we are not rich people in this country. We are poor. It would take strong leadership that would bring benefit for us in the future. Now, the strong leadership, some of the challenges you face is sitting in a good jet to go and have meetings, sitting in a presidential jet that is working and safe to sit in, to go for meetings across the globe, to go and cut deals that will come and benefit your country. Now, our president cannot do so. So he uses private jets. It becomes a case where someone uses it terribly against his image and his candidature. It goes all the way to affect even a new person who wants to stand for president. Now, today, we have a new president in Ghana whose party used these things against the previous government. So now they have to pretend. I was listening to one of our media men from the 3 Media, Johnny Youth, saying that if the president uses his brother's private jets, we'll complain. If he uses commercial, we'll complain. Yes, we would. This is why we would. We are not against the president having a private jet or a jet that belongs to the state. We are against him not having his security intact and being on commercial flights. We don't want that for him. We want him safe. He is our president. Number two, we don't want him on his brother's private jet, because then that is a mode or a recipe for corruption. If I, Gabriel Ochi, was offering millions of dollars to the state consistently because I have it, every single person will ask me, why am I doing it?
Your brother is not president.
As an individual, if I did it with the same question, we don't care if he's a brother. The name or title brother does not go into our documents over here. What matters is a gentleman by name, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama, is offering his jet to the Prescott. Why is he doing that? What is the benefit to him?
His brother's safety and security is very important to him.
Then what is the purpose of the state's machinery? What is the purpose of the national security? What's the purpose of the Ghana Armed Forces?
So what that's what I'm asking, will we ever get to a point where we can all agree as a country to say that
my party agrees that we need it? Their own shame makes it difficult for them to speak about it. Because now we have our president stranded in another country for 22 hours. This has happened to President Akufo-Addo because our jet had an issue. Then he rode on our jet into a country. He had an issue. He had to wait to get into a flight. Then it was a COVID era. He struggled to get a flight that will return him into another meeting. So now they had to rent a private jet immediately. A certain gentleman in the ruling government used it against him. Now today, your president travels to Dubai and is stranded for 22 hours. Is that not embarrassing?
Very embarrassing.
He is not stranded because of a natural disaster. He is not stranded because of a terrorist attack in that country, which is beyond his capacity as leader of the armed forces in his country. But he is stranded because he can't get on the flights.
So are we going to even go on this tangent?
Imagine a Japanese who were expecting to welcome him.
Yes, I'm saying.
Were ready. And for 22 hours, he didn't.
Will we continue to be going on this tangent when even details of presidential trips are publicized? Because even over the weekend, you could tell on social media, deputy, and they were engaged in a very nasty breakback over who was leaking false information about the president. But you see, it is collectively, all of us as Ghanaians, President Mahama is our president, and his security is paramount. So if it was wrong yesterday, must we continue to go on that tangent?
Well, I will repeat it again. My party is not against the president having a private jet. We are not interested in knowing whether he baths in it. We are interested in him fulfilling his 24-hour economy promise, which we know he doesn't know what he said, and he still doesn't understand the answer today.
It's just 8 months into his administration.
They are waiting for his big push, which he doesn't know where he's going to get the money from to do it. We are waiting for how.
They are multi-sourced. That's what he says.
Yes. They should keep more. We are waiting for what he will do differently from what the MPP proposed for the Sadia housing. We are waiting to know what he will do differently with how our students get fed in schools. We are waiting to see how he's going to put money in the pockets of the ordinary Ghanaian. We are waiting to see how he is going to make dollar stable.
The dollar is stable, isn't it?
After he's paid contractors what their due is.
Isn't the dollar stable?
After he's paid interest that he's supposed to pay on loans that started during his era. We are looking at all of those things. Those are the most important.
So, Gadi, what do you think about the presidential?
You need a president.
Should we all agree that it's about time we stopped the politics of this whole jet?
Yeah, I agree we need a presidential jet, but I don't agree we should hide who and where the presidential jet goes. That I will not agree. We need to know who sits on it at any point in time. We knew when Oponya was using, His Excessive Excellency Oponya, was using our private jet.
And said it was in very good shape.
Yes. Then we were told that it had 3 engines, and that's when one goes off, it has 2 to survive on. So if 2 has gone off, it has 1 to go. I'm so surprised that it is even in France and that it has been grounded because it has a problem with 1 engine. It has 2. So we have to wait till 2 are damaged before we buy a new one if we want to go on the same tangent as the babies with sad teeth, as Jerry John Rollins named them, kept saying. Left to me, we should buy it. But for their own shame, they should keep hiding, they should keep lying, they should keep making stories. Very soon, the good road they are enjoying, which usually lasts for 12 months, would end. And we'll see how they will keep making stories to the ordinary guy.
Back to your party, what's happening? A lot of interesting things are happening, like I said earlier. And you have been saying it should be Brian. And Brian also insists he's the surest bet for the NPP in the 2028 elections. Why do you think it should be Brian Achampo?
Okay. I speak from experience, from my own experience as a young man who has been boisterous for a period, with youthful exuberances, and I haven't made a lot of money like Honorable Brian during the time he wanted to be MP and so on. But I would not want to be truncated in a journey I want to go with the little that I have. And so for persons like Honorable Brian, having a chance to stand for MP, with all the chaos that came with it, all the topics that were surrounding it, around his age, blah, 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 and then getting called by His Excellency John Ajay Kufuor, and being asked that, you know what, stay aside and let this gentleman go. With all humility, he agreed, came back to work, canvass vote for a PC who he had gone against, and he knew he was going to win against. So many of our young people today, they are in parliament. We have people in parliament as independent candidates. We have people who have left the party to form their own parties. He stayed. He didn't end there. He had a chance in Kwahu. He worked there in his constituency now as a grassroots member. With all the financial capacity he had, he came down to the level of the people, served them, was part of them, knew their problems, got a chance to take over the seat, and he's been serving 3 terms. Now, in this period, we would ask a simple question: what has been his input in the life of the grassroots or the young people? If you go to his constituency, people will tell you, from mothers who've given birth at the hospital, from skills he's giving to people in his constituency. And it doesn't even just end in his constituency. Not to mention names of individuals who, by their own volition, have said things he has done. I would just mention a few. President Akufo-Addo himself, in 2016, after he won the election, he mentioned Honorable Brian as the number 1 person who had invested massively in his campaign. He did that using the young people in his constituency and across the country. You see, for somebody who has been in the military, a proper businessman in the field that he works with, he understands the line. He understands that you need to motivate the base, get them willing to work with you, and then when they are interested in working with you, your message sending is easier. Now, if you work with the people at the top only, they only tell you what they have heard. They don't tell you what they feel exactly what they feel on the ground. Now, if you go to my constituency and you go to the party office and you ask them, how are things going? So, BBI, if you get to the market will tell you. So you will need to associate with the people at the lower levels. Now, Honorable Brian, why I choose him and why I believe in him, all right? In the Eastern region, he took care, not because they couldn't, but because he wanted to support the agenda, that this is my home region, and I have the means. I will not keep the means to myself. I will not make a name for myself. Rather, I am looking at the elephant and not Brian Achampo. It is the elephant. So I am going to support several parliamentary candidates. He invested a tune of 1 million Ghana cedis each in each of these MPs. And all of them, 27 of them that he invested in them, they are in parliament today. Some do not support him. He did not do it because they would support him. He looked at the bigger picture of the elephant having a representative in parliament, the elephant having a stakeholder position in the affairs, running of the affairs of this country, Ghana. We are not looking for people who would want to only support people who are aligned with their personal interests, ideas only. We are looking at people who understand what the elephant means, what the elephant stands for, the strength the elephant carries when we come together. This is somebody who understands this.
I am tempted to ask this. Nkwetia has become a hub of political activities recently. We have delegates trooping in every week for training. I understand there's even an ongoing training as we speak.
Mhm.
These delegates, the support, is it organic? Is it something that Dr. Brian Chambo can count on? The numbers he keeps seeing every week. I mean, week in, week out, you will see people trooping there. This support, is it a support or this enthusiasm, is it something that Dr. Brian Chambo can count on?
Well, if you ask me, I'll say yes. This is why I'll say yes. Dr. Brian Champon has kept a low profile for a long time. He has refused the spotlight and media engagement that goes around with the Maese Ama party, I've invested X amount into the party, and the guy would know. And so today, there are people asking, why wasn't he telling us this all this while? We would have even asked him to stand for president long time ago. We never knew he was doing these. People are now, people are getting enlightened about the men we have in our party. MPP has always been bragging with one thing, that we have the men. Some of the men were silent, not because they were doing nothing, but because they were doing it in the name of the elephant. Today we are finding out who they are, what they have done, and why we need to reward such people. And we are not rewarding them because of their financial capacity. We are rewarding them because of their intellect, decisiveness, intelligence, capacity, the unifier spirit that they have. And if you're looking for all of these, you find it in one person. I call him the Triple D. And we all know why he's a Triple D. He's a solid man. He's a person that we need to lead the NPP. You see, there are men that when they speak, they shake the ground. Remember when he gave a threat to the LDC during the election that we are not leaving power? It became news they discussed over and over because they knew who the man Brian Champon was. But any other candidate saying the same do not warrant a whole discussion for a week.
On that note, we've come to another exciting edition of the Roundtable. Thank you very much for being our guest. My guest here in the studio has been Mr. Gabi Otri with Noda. Gabi, thanks for coming. So viewers, thank you very much for making time to watch the Roundtable show on Republic TV. See you again tomorrow. Thank you very much.